Welcome back to the Proximity is Power podcast. I am beyond stoked for today. We got Matt Strong in the house with us. Matt, thanks for being here.
You got it, man. Great to be here.
Dude, I'm freaking pumped. Matt, if you guys haven't heard of him, haven't met him, he is from Sandy, Utah, born and raised. Matt has actually started his career 20 years ago, started flipping houses. To date, he's done 450 career flips, which is insane. So it's not a small number. Like 1 or 2 is still pretty cool, but 450 is insane. So has done that. The last 12 years too, he's been doing a lot of hard money deals. He's done over $400 million in deals, like almost $500 million. And
that's a lot of just one-off. You know, my average loan amount's like 400,000.
Oh my gosh!
So it's a lot of small, quick transactions.
Heck yeah! Career to date, he's done 1,400 like hard money deals, and that's where he's put a lot of his focus recently. How I know Matt is actually shout out Sky McIntosh, my boy from Aptiv, Tosh's little brother. You guys have heard Tosh on the show, but Sky invited me to come where Matt kind of talked about his career and success and real estate tips, and got connected with Matt, and so freaking pumped to have you today.
Awesome, man.
It's gonna be fun.
I love your energy and your mojo, so let's do it.
I appreciate it. Well, awesome. So just going way back, Matt, so you grew up in Sandy, Utah.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Well, pretty normal, I guess, if you're a white dude in Utah growing up. Experience, nothing, great parents.
Mormon church.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pediatrician dad, pretty stable, very stable, not pretty, cool. Very, very stable.
Yeah.
But sometimes I still wonder what I'm going to do when I grow up. You know, I kind of sometimes, I don't know, you kind of just feel like the path's set for you. And if you don't think for yourself, which I probably didn't do for a long time, you just kind of follow the path. You just the next step. Oh, that's the next step. That's the next thing I do. That's the next thing I do. But even going up through college, so I went to the University of Utah, and I did that because it's that's the next thing you do. You go to college, right? Yeah. And the only subjects that ever really kind of got me excited was finance, numbers.
Yeah.
And then my uncle at the time, I knew he was in real estate, and there were some real estate classes. So I took some real estate classes, and even then I didn't really even know what I was going to do. It's not, some people grow up, they're like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be an engineer, or I'm going to be a dentist, or I'm going to be a lawyer. You kind of got this path where it's what class you're going to need to take, because you need to go to law school, and then blah, 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 blah. And I always knew I was going to I just didn't know what it was going to be. So, but anyway, born and raised, high school in the area. And
did you play sports growing up?
I did, but I kind of maybe quit was the word in high school. I played basketball. I did do some club volleyball.
Cool. Heck yeah.
In high school, which was fun. We traveled to Balboa and Southern California. So, not to rabbit too far, but I give my son a ton of credit. He's a junior at Brighton, and he's really dedicated to pitching, and he's on the baseball team.
Oh, awesome.
And so sometimes, it's I kind of want to get on him for maybe to do more or whatever, but I'm but I was as lazy as can be. And he's already doing way more than I was doing, so I can't say anything. You know?
That's awesome. Okay, so grew up Sandy, played some sports, and then did you go on a mission?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to Rio de Janeiro.
Heck yeah, Brazil. That's awesome. How was that?
Dude, it's a cool spot. I think at the end of the day, I felt more in love with the people, the language, and the culture.
Yeah.
I've been back 3 times since. I want to go back tomorrow.
Yeah, love it.
It's just such a cool.
Wow.
There's so many lessons from that place. You've got the most extreme beauty and, wealth, right, butted up against the most extreme poverty. But then there's so much beauty in the blue collar, just the grind it out, heart beat of that city. You know, and there's obviously a ton of violence and, you know, gangs and drugs like everywhere. But the geography, you have the most famous beaches in the world, Copacabana, Ipanema, Leblon.
Looks beautiful.
But then right up against it, you have the largest slums or favelas.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of it's really a yin yang that's so close, like proximity, like your podcast, proximity is power. It's like, you're literally like, some of the best views are from the poorest neighborhoods because they're on the hills right overlooking the nice part of the city. But the city can't survive without the poor people. The poor people can't survive without the city, but they're so close together. They're like so close together. But anyway, so, you know, the climate's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool place.
You loved it.
Oh, I love that place.
That's awesome.
So cool.
Was the mission hard for you?
I mean, it's hard because it's new and you're away from home, and it's not like I'd been, you know, gone. I it's kind of like, you know, a homebody or whatever. So it's like anything. It took a minute, but once you get there, you know, and it takes a few months to get acclimatized. But I mean, maybe didn't always love all of the mission stuff, but like just the people, you know, the cobblestone streets, dirt roads, you know, awesome. It's cool.
So love the mission, and then you got back and immediately started school with just knowing like that's the next step, but I'm not sure exactly which direction I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It was like, okay, check this off the box.
Yeah. Cool. Next step.
Check that off the box. So, you know, met my now wife really soon after getting home, and then we got married a year later. Awesome. So it's like, check that box.
Yeah. Typical Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the next box.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Be responsible. Go to college.
Cool.
Work while you're going to college.
Yeah.
You know?
So what, do you feel like you were entrepreneurial growing up?
You know, I think I was really shy and timid growing up. That we were talking before this started about how you know, you just seem to have the personality where it's like, you're not afraid to fail. You did a ton of sales.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to ask for what you're looking for. I think it's taken me a lot of years to kind of like maybe mature up to be that proactive, I guess. And even still today, I'm nervous to meet certain people and, you know, kind of shrink in the back of the room. Rooms that I'm in.
Thanks for being vulnerable that way. Cause people would look at you and be like, holy crap, like Matt's done 1,400 deals, like $400 million deals, like crazy stuff. And that's cool to know that you still struggle with that. Cause I definitely do. Like I have my self-doubts and stuff, but I'm like, what's the bold quote you said earlier?
Well, it's not my quote, but it was fortune favors the bold.
Fortune favors the bold. I'm like, you got to be bold too. Like bold people take over the world, you know? And like,
they do. I mean, it could be good or bad, but like, you know, I was telling you before, over the last 4 years, and we can talk a little bit about this too, about how you progress and learn, you learn from others. We've talked about Tony Robbins, but I'm in this group in Arizona called Genius Network. And I was so nervous to join because I'm like, I don't belong here, you know. And it's a
just because it was high level,
catchy. Yeah, oh yeah. There's the most high level, awesome people in there, and I'm like, what? I guess because they took my money, they'll take me. Yeah. But like, I'm getting more used to it. But that first year or two there, I was like, what do I like? I'm in the back of the room, you know, just like. Then you know, you mingle, you network, you build your confidence, and everyone goes about it a little differently. But I've kind of always told people like, I'm not necessarily the one to start the party, but if I'm in the room and I'm comfortable, like, then I'm very comfortable. Yeah. But someone else, like, I'm better to like, okay, the party's going, I'm here. Okay, now we can get comfortable, but I'm not the one leading the charge, like usually in some scenarios. Yeah. So as far as an entrepreneur, like I don't remember, maybe I did. I don't remember having a lemonade stand or going door to door or whatever, you know, like I had jobs and everything, but basically since my adult life, I have done nothing but basically be an entrepreneur. I don't know anything different now. I think, you know, one thing that I wish I would have done when I was younger is take those tests where you can really understand what your drivers are, your motivations and like your natural tendencies. I'm definitely a risk taker, sometimes for better, for worse. I like order and I like following there. I do like the order of things, but I'm definitely more of a visionary, you know, and sometimes I tend to be we'll cut 4 times and then measure, you know, instead of the measure 4 times and then cut. Right. Or the ready, fire, aim. Yeah. You know, and a lot of times that benefits me you know, and I think I'm good at making quick decisions.
Just
sometimes they're
intuition.
not always
Yeah.
the right decisions, but you know, we could do a whole podcast on how to make bad decisions because I've done plenty of those, but you know, I don't think I was, if I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, I didn't really know it.
Okay.
I think I just kind of fell into it. And then
So
over the years you get comfortable.
Yeah. So tell me about that. So you go to school, and then what did you study then?
So I was up at the University of Utah.
Right.
And I did finance.
Cool.
And then I think it was an unofficial minor in real estate, but
Okay.
we're talking like an appraisal class in real estate essentials.
So you didn't really know, but then you found out in college that you liked finance, you liked real estate. Like those classes were
I
cool.
definitely knew that because I interned, again, I didn't necessarily pick it. Maybe it picked me, but I remember interning at, back then it was an offshoot of City. It was Solomon Smith Barney.
Okay.
It was a brokerage house downtown. And I think I was in my senior year at the U or junior year. And I worked kind of as an assistant for these two stockbrokers. And, you know, I was just blown away. Like, I mean, I remember because I had access to everybody's account and I just like, you know,
You go see
dude, that guy came, he's worth $3 million, you know, or these guys were making $1 million a year. And I'm like, how are they doing this? Part of it maybe was a little bit of a, not sham, but it's like they were just really good sales guys because then they just get people and they do the mutual funds and I don't know what. But what I learned there was the time value of money. And so that's what fascinated me is like $1 today could be worth X amount in 10 years. And then over the years, it's like, well, how can you manipulate that dollar in a moral, ethical, and legal way to have it be worth even more? Have it be worth, you know, get a better rate of return.
Wow.
So I remember as like what I've been 21, 22.
So you started doing that while you were in college.
Oh yeah.
You just got
I love the finance.
That's awesome.
I love the finance classes.
So that totally pivoted your trajectory.
Yeah. It made you think like, how does money grow?
Yeah.
You know, and there was a ton of lessons more by example that, you know, I probably observed and learned from my dad. But one of them was like early on, the rule of 72, you know, whatever interest rate you're going to get, divide 72, and then that's what it will double.
Right. That's
you know?
my dad. That's my dad right there.
Yeah.
He's a finance guru, and he was teaching me that when I was in 4th grade, you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like money has a flow and it doesn't really care if, you know, you look at a lot of people that are really successful and some of them are very evil, maybe not successful, that have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Money's going to flow where it goes. And if I do believe in that law of attraction, like if a bad person has bad motives and they want a lot of money, they're going to get
And do more bad things.
of money.
Right.
Because money doesn't care where it goes.
Right.
You know, and so then how can you over the years, like in your way of whatever your morals and ethics, like to have it flow to you in an abundant way where you can benefit,
Right.
you know, obviously yourself, your family, and then other people.
Yeah. I've heard like money's a magnifier. If you're a bad person, you'll be able to do more bad things with it. If you're a good person, you'll be able to have the resources to do more good in the world. And so
100%.
And so like, yeah, like money in the wrong hands, like they're going to just do more bad, you know, look at like, what's the island that nobody knows who visited?
Oh, the Epstein
Island. Like, yeah. Or it's going to be used for good, you know?
Oh,
like,
I see that so much with just buddies that have become more successful. If you're a good dude
yeah.
or good lady, whatever, good
You
person,
can do more good.
and you have a lot of money, all of a sudden you're even that much better of a person.
Right. Like Tony Robbins, he made a goal to feed 1 billion families.
Yeah.
And he did it. Like
So cool.
He's making a difference, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's who I think you too. That's who I want to be.
oh yeah, me too.
You know, so, but
That's awesome.
you know, I don't know like where, but up until maybe 10 years ago, I really didn't do any personal development.
Really? That's surprising.
I know. It could have, would have, should have. Maybe I think of like, well, where would I be now?
Well, you still crushed it, but yeah. Well, you kind of got
we
proximity.
Grind it out. You know?
And you got proximity like through, you know, that internship with 2 guys that were crushing it.
Yes.
So like, it's not like you weren't, you know, doing stuff like that.
You just observe and be curious.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the greatest messages of like the Ted Lasso series is just being curious. That'll benefit so many people.
Oh yeah.
If you're open to being curious about how other people do things and whatever. But I think, so what happened was I had that little bit of real estate background and then I worked for a guy doing self-directed or self-funded health plans. Okay. And, over the years, we've talked about proximity is power. I've benefited by having, whether, just serendipitous or intentional, just super amazing relationships with people around me that hopefully have benefited both of us. But, this guy, sat with him next to him. I didn't even know him, but I sat at a wedding lunch for his sister, who was friends with my wife. And we were just talking. And by the end of the meal, he hired me and I started working for him the next week.
That's cool.
And what was cool is that turned into a temporary thing where I made enough money where we could buy our first house. So this is where real estate comes back into it. And I didn't know what I was doing. It was an ivory home.
And were you graduated at this point or no?
Oh, pretty darn close. Okay. All right. I think maybe I had graduated, because part of me graduating, he's like, okay, we'll put you on salary.
Oh, nice.
At $33,000 a month. And I was stoked.
$33,000?
No, $3,000.
Okay. I was like
$36,000 a year.
Okay.
So I thought I was like, I thought I made it, because what is like, dude, I'm on salary, right? Whatever that means, know. But it allowed us to qualify for a house, and it was an ivory home down in Rose Park.
I've heard Robert Kiyosaki says salary is slavery.
Well, ultimately,
but it was awesome. Yeah.
But it was awesome for me. It was like, dude, but I always wanted to cover my own nut.
Yeah.
So it was like, great. Yeah, I'm salary, but I had my little spreadsheet. And I'm like, well, these accounts that I've gained or helped with, those are covering. Like, I always wanted to be sustainable. Like, cool. I didn't want a salary that I couldn't justify that, well, the business I'm bringing in covers that, And so anyway, so we went to this ivory model home. And at the time, it's ironic now that I flip and I'm in the distressed property world, because it's like, dude, I probably should have bought a house in Sugar House that was older, but I'm like, I don't even to today, it would take me a week to change a toilet, it's not my skill set.
You're not the maintenance guy.
I'm better figure out who can hire to help that. But so we found a brand new new home community in Rose Park, and both of our parents were like, well, that's the west side, what are you doing there? But I'm like, well, we can afford it. So I went into the model and I'm like, hey, this house looks good, but I don't have an agent, can you give me a discount? And they're like, well, we don't do discounts, but if you're an agent, we do pay agents 3%. And so I said, oh, cool. Well, I'm an agent. And they're like, okay. And so then I called my uncle, who was a broker. I'm like, dude, I need to get my license. If I get my license, will you help me credit the commission? And so those real estate classes helped. I quickly got my real estate license. And then by the time we closed on our house, I had my license. And so I got the 3% that went towards my FHA down payment. And back then the seller was doing, they'd pay your closing costs. So our very first primary residence, I got into for $500.
Wow. Like zero down.
Yeah. Zero down.
That's so awesome.
And then again, the pivot or these serendipitous moments, then I was asking the sales agent, well, how much money do you make? And he told me, and I'm like, you do nothing, so didn't burn a bridge. My buddy, he'll come back full circle, is, I'm like, hey, I think I need to go work for Ivory now. And he was like, dude, if that's what you want to do, that's great. You've helped us a ton. No hard feelings. Go do it. So supportive. So such a good lesson. And so I did that, but I could quickly tell that was a dead end. I'm like, for me anyway, Ivory does such a great job, too good of a job, where people would just walk in and be like, I want that floor plan, And so for me anyway, there was nothing super engaging about it. So it took a few years to find something that could replace the income that I was making at Ivory. Cause it was, I think it was $150,000 the next year coming off of 30,
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So that ultimately led into conversations with the buddy about, hey, let's flip houses. So then when I had the courage to okay, this will work. We flipped a couple houses while I was still there.
Because you had been an agent for
4 years.
4 years before
4 years
you ever
total.
Flipped.
But Ivory you're not doing quote unquote real estate.
Right.
It's like you're selling real expensive Nordstrom shoes.
Right.
It's like, we want this. Okay, great. You can have it. It did happen to be a house, but it's not like I felt like I was dying a slow death at the model.
Yeah.
Because it was you just kind of wait for people to come in, and you were assigned a community, I mean, Arby's a phenomenal company, but you look back and like everyone's got their progression. So even though I was checking boxes, at least I kind of gravitated towards real estate, and then it was off and running, just flipping houses. I already had my license, and
so you started flipping. 4 years in, your buddy comes to you, says we should flip. How did that first deal go? Like,
dude, it went so well that's what gave me the confidence.
Really?
To be like, well, gosh, if I do 10 of these a year.
Did you find it off market? How'd you find it?
You know, he had the skill set to start because he had already been doing it. It was just a bank-owned house.
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
this was back in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
So even, 2004, 5, 6, those were run-up years, right? Like that's when the market was going crazy. But even then, there were still, Utah had always had a large number of bankruptcies and bank-owned houses. And so we were just buying these bank-owned houses, and so looking back now is like shooting fish in a barrel compared to how it is today. Today is so competitive, because Utah's become that much stronger of a market. It's more visible, more people come here. So, but it was looking back now, it was so easy to find houses.
And flipping was probably not as competitive too. Like
Not
a lot
at
of
all.
people were doing it.
Nope.
Because like Fixer Upper, some of those TV shows didn't come out till way
later.
Yeah.
We got lucky really early. In fact, I still own a house with this guy today. I found someone like me my partner and I found somebody like me back then, and we were paying basically 24% interest. We were paying basically 2 points a month but we were usually in and out in like 90 days, and they were smaller loan amounts. They were like $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. But I lucked out, like where we found a guy that would fund our deals, and he funded millions and millions of dollars for us, in increments.
And what would you pay him? What interest?
Basically 24%.
Wow. You're paying a hand and a fist for those deals.
Our first flip, we made a gross of 20 grand and split it.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, I can do 10 of these a year,
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, let's do it. Let's go.
So, and then were you still working as an agent, or did you just quit and then go full-time flipping?
Full-time flipping, but I had my license, so we'd always represent ourselves to buy them.
Yeah.
And then we'd sell them ourselves.
Cool.
So the license came in super, super handy.
So how did you do flipping? Like, so basically you just do cosmetic stuff, or what would you guys do
At
on
the first,
the average deal?
At the first, like you got to kind of hone your skills.
Yeah.
So like it was mostly all cosmetic.
Okay.
Like redoing a kitchen and a bath was a big deal.
And paint and flooring,
paint.
Maybe. Yeah.
No way were we touching like structural remodels.
Yeah, plumbing, electrical.
Yeah, just basic
stuff.
Cool. So we were in West Valley, Kearns, Rose Park.
Yeah, the Hood.
Yeah, the Hood, but I love Magna.
Yeah.
I love those areas.
Cool.
Because you kind of fall in love. Like there's real people living out there that are trying to survive. They're trying to make a living. Mm-hmm. They have blue collar jobs or, nothing super sexy. So I don't know. I found a lot of joy in taking something, I still do, that's, maybe undervalued or dilapidated and fixing it up. And, going back to Brazil, sometimes, the movies romanticize like the violence and the negativity, but if you meet those people that live in those slums, dude, they're awesome people that have never had that great of opportunities. And they work harder than anybody.
Yeah.
Just to survive.
Oh, I agree.
And they're so nice.
Yeah. I know. I went to Ecuador with Aptiv on a humanitarian trip. And we were building a school and digging ditches for whatever. And dude, I worked harder that week than I did my entire life combined.
It's so
like manual labor. Like it was hard.
You always wonder if they really, because they have the drive, if they had the same opportunities that we had, they'd probably lap us.
Oh, that's why immigrants do so well.
Yes.
Like the immigrant, like basically what the average immigrant in America makes compared to like the average American, it's just like insane. Like it's like 10x.
Well, and you see is also, maybe it's complacency, life's easier, but we were talking a little bit before too, that purpose, or as much as you don't want it, because you do want life to be easy, there is a benefit to having a productive struggle going on, whether it's a big goal or challenge you're trying to overcome, or a big problem you're trying to solve, or even if it's just daily discipline, like eating good throughout the day, exercising, going to sleep early, waking up early, Like sometimes those things are hard to do on a continual basis. You can always do something one-off,
Right.
quick,
Yeah.
and maintain it. But
Yeah,
the most successful people you see still are doing hard things, but they don't need to.
See, it's so easily missed by people because people are like, oh, you should read. And then they read a book one day and then they're like, well, that didn't work. And then they don't do it again, you know?
Yep.
But like success is a bunch of small things done consistently over an extended period of time.
Yep.
And that's like, because if you read a book for 30 minutes every day for an entire year, you could have knocked out 50 books. And what kind of person do you become by doing that, you know?
Oh, it's exactly right.
But most people can't do it. Like they just think, oh, you know, it's the short term easy stuff. Like they can't do the short term hard to realize that it will get easier in the long term the more they can do the hard stuff early, you know?
I mean, I heard, I think I was listening to a podcast where there was an advertisement for TiVo. I want to say it was TiVo.
Okay.
Where they were pitching like, we will pay you to watch TV. Like that is the most disgusting ad. Like, because they are, because people are watching advertisements and then I'm like, that sounds awful. Trust me.
Yeah.
I watch
just turn your
way
TV
too
on,
much
all
TV,
day and,
you know, but usually it's more to just decompress and relax. But, you know, so
that's crazy.
Anyway, but the flipping, that's, you know, and the flipping is awesome because it can be, you can make a lot of money doing it if you do a lot and you do them well, but you know, it's that you got to enjoy it too. Like that, putting the whole puzzle together, coordinating the rehab, finding an undervalued property, improving it, finding a buyer. Like it's just such a cool process.
Yeah.
Now of those 450, I bet you 10% I've lost money on, you know, cause you know, you'll buy more than you should at a time. You don't have enough money to do them all. The market maybe changes on you, you know, and we had like a 4 or 5 year stretch where things were pretty great. Like we maybe lost a little bit, but then the crash, as everyone calls it, the financial collapse happened.
Yeah.
And that was rough.
Cause how many deals were you doing a month or a year at that point?
Oh, maybe like 12.
Okay. 12.
Not that
12 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. So one a month ish.
Yeah. Maybe it was more than that. Maybe it was like close to 20, but part of it too was like, we had so much success. The one thing that was maybe not the right time in life to do it, but we also kind of coasted a little bit because it was actually pretty easy. Like we'd wake up, find like 3 houses.
Through wholesalers or?
No, wholesalers didn't even exist back then.
Okay, so how?
It was on the MLS or at the courthouse.
Wow. Okay,
like
one or the other.
Trustee sales.
Okay.
Wholesalers did not exist. So I golfed a lot. Like I golfed too much and I had young kids. It's like looking back, it was pretty selfish, but it's kind of normal because it's like we were doing really well. And my only thought of what I could be doing was flipping. But it's like we had like whatever 3 or 4 going at a time. Once you put them in motion, if you're not doing the work on them, you have a lot of time. So we wasted so much time golfing and doing other things like that.
Like you and your partner.
Yeah. And looking back now, it's like, well, I could have been doing a different business or, you know, or more focused or anyway, but, you know, the crash happened. And at the time we didn't really ever get hurt on our flips, but we got into a territory that we weren't really quite ready for. We were trying to do some land development. And like everybody else, we were building some spec homes that weren't value add. They were more just like total speculative, you know? And so I had a foreclosure I lost a house to at the courthouse. I was foreclosed on. I had a couple that I had to do a short sale. So those were hard times because it was like, you really questioned like, what is going on here? You know, like you go backwards for a couple years. We lost relatively a ton of money.
Wow.
You're in a dark space. I always tell this story because it was super powerful and it was a turning point where, you know, like I've always instilled him like the guy, you know, in our family, like I keep track of the money, the finances, pay all the bills. And, you know, I mean, I was filling my wife in, but I don't think she totally understood like how stressed I was. And so I'm like, one day I was just like, I don't know, you know, maybe we might just have to live in the Tahoe. And she's like, oh, that'd be fine. I'm like, wait, what? You know, it's like, oh, yeah, we would still be okay. No one's going to come chop my arm off. It's just more of an ego thing.
Wow.
And then it was like,
That's such a gift.
it really was, because we were talking about Tony Robbins. Instead then of every day just focusing on the doom and gloom and the clouds, it was like, okay, my worst case scenario is here. I'm still here. Let's start looking for the light.
And then that, like, this, you're here, and if it goes to this, you're still
okay.
And your wife's fine with
Yes.
that. Because I had the same blessing from my wife. I was transitioning out of Aptiv, and I had a bunch of guys had spent a bunch of time, and I was about to walk away from all of it and all this equity I had earned there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, what if we just make no money and I can't pay for the rental properties? All of our tenants stop paying and I just lose my money. We go bankrupt. She's like, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I know you'd get it back for us. And like, that was like the coolest thing she could have given me, because it just gave me, okay, like,
Then I can do this.
I put my shoulders down. I'm like, oh, I got this, you know?
So part of it then is like just I do believe, and I believe it more and more as the older I get, that there's unlimited abundance and opportunity out there.
Absolutely.
It's just if your head's in the right space and you're looking in the right places, your mind, what's the quote Dan Sullivan says, like your mind, whatever your eyes and your mind are looking for, you're going to find. And I kind of butchered that, but I started looking for the light. And then instead of doom and gloom, I was excited every morning going, well, how, and I was interviewing like W-2 jobs. Like it just felt so slimy. I'm like, I can't, like, I remember interviewing.
Like when it got bad, you were trying to find another
when it was all doom and
Okay.
gloom. And then I'm like, no, let's go back to doing what was successful. Like houses are cheap now.
Because you had lost a bunch of money doing the land development stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
So then luckily we never lost any investor money. Like I lost some bank money, but
To this day?
never. Yeah. To this day.
Wow.
Never lost any private investor money.
Wow. Shout
Not
out
only
Matt Strong.
never lost it, but
Wow.
never not paid back the interest too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sending you money.
Yeah. So then it was like, let's go buy these houses again.
Yeah.
And then my 2 or 3 years, like then from there, it just has gone up pretty much every year. Like
Wow.
my best year was the year after I kind of thought the world was coming to an end.
Wow.
Now, some of it was lucky because the market started, like the market
Turning
was
in your
bottoming.
favor. Yeah.
But what you also learned is like people buying their first home at that time, they had no collateral damage from the financial crisis. They were just stoked that now they were making back then $13-14 an hour and they could afford a house because houses were cheap. So that's when our volume really picked up, where we're like, okay, this is working again. How many can we do? You know, so that's where I think a couple years back to back, we did about 60 in a year, which was chaos.
Was that like 2010, 11?
Yeah. 2010, 11, 12. I think the market bottomed like in 11, 12. And then, but even while it was still going down, we were still making money because we get low enough.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and those days it was all bank owned and courthouse.
Wow.
Wholesalers really didn't
How do
come
you
on the
even
scene until
find-
like 6 years ago.
How do you even find the bank owned or?
Well, back then it was harder because you'd have to get a newspaper
Okay.
or actually go down to the city and county building and read the postings. Now, of course, you know, there's so many websites that aggregate and have them. So that journey took me, you know, we started just going gangbusters, and then, you know, going back to my old boss that I quit to go to Ivory, I reconnected with him. Don't burn bridges, you know, and for the last like 14 years, he's been one of my main investors. I mean, he's funded millions and millions of dollars worth of my
Wow.
deals.
Wait, he's the guy that owned Ivory, or
No. The insurance company
Oh,
that I quit.
gotcha.
And so, like, I didn't burn a bridge. He's such
Like
a
the
cool
finance
dude.
guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then he's been funding my deals. He
So
still
the
funds a ton
internship
of
you
my
did in
deals.
college. Wow.
Yeah. Well, the one after that,
Okay.
when I was the
Okay.
guy I met at the wedding dinner. But
Gotcha.
so you know, I've just been lucky to have really amazing people
That's cool.
that not only have stuck with me, I've stuck with them.
Yeah.
And it's just been long-standing relationships. So that's about when I got into the hard money.
was that Sky's mission president then?
Yeah.
So that was Sky's mission president,
Yep.
the guy that you met at the wedding.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that puzzle piece just
So we're
connected.
still obviously buddies and and whatever. And so
Yeah, that's awesome.
but anyway, so then that's kind of when I got into the hard money.
Okay, this is insane. I love this is just for me. Like I love this story. It's been really cool. I've written a few things down already, but So basically, you didn't know what you wanted to do. You get in school, you find some classes in some areas and subjects you like. You start flipping. Well, you become an agent, or you intern for successful people, and then you become a real estate agent, and then you start flipping after 4 years of being an agent.
Yeah.
And you basically partnered with your buddy. Did you guys just go 50-50 pretty much?
Yeah. We did that. We did that pretty much exclusively up until about maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay. And then you started flipping a bunch of deals, got in trouble doing something outside of your niche or skill set with land development. And then you, just continue to flip. And then right when, the real estate market bottom, you guys crushed it pretty much.
Yeah. Relative to what we knew at that time.
Okay. Did you guys ever think about holding them or renting them out?
Oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. Freak. 2010, 11.
I was so focused on recovering from what we had lost that it was just burn and turn, And so looking back now, oh my gosh, if we'd have kept 3 of every 10,
right.
Those houses, quick little side story.
Yeah.
The second house I ever flipped, I bought again last year and flipped it again 16 years later.
No way. That's awesome.
So cool. Once I realized it was the same house, I'm like, I don't even care what the price is. I'm buying it. Yeah. So I made money on the same house twice.
That's so cool.
What goes to show is like, I bought it for I think it was 70,000 the first time and then 280 the second time.
Wow.
So it's like, if we could have held on to
few of
smaller deals,
Okay, so your flipping business is going really well. And then what gets you into hard money?
I remember the day someone called me and said, hey, where do you get your money?
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you need some?
To fund your deals.
Right.
To fund the flips.
So, and it was also, I'd always invested that going back to the brokerage days at Solomon Smith Barney, I could see the value. So back then I set up a Roth IRA and an IRA for myself and my wife. So I had always been putting a little bit in there. And then that built up over the years. I think I had $150,000 in a self-directed IRA. And so I'm like, well, I can lend you that. I never really thought that I could lend it to somebody else because I didn't do enough research on it.
Okay, wait, were you still funding your own deals or were you still...
No, I was still using investor money.
You were still using investor money. It never occurred to you that you could be the bank on your own deals?
No, not even on my own deals, but for someone else.
Wow.
So then I'm like, oh, cool. So for for about a year and a half, it was almost pro bono. It was more just fun. Well, it was I'll hook you up. Yeah, you just...
So how did that first deal go? So you're like, I got some money in my IRA.
Yep. So and I just, got with the title company and they helped me do the loan docs. And
wow.
And so then
what interest rate was he paying you on that?
It hasn't even changed. 12% still.
12%.
That's what we charge today.
Wow.
12%.
Cool.
So we did a couple of those and then as it progressed and maybe we did 10, 20, 30, I'm like, no, this needs to be a business. Let's get serious about this. And that's when I took it real serious. And, I've grown it. Started with a couple 100,000 and during COVID, the peak at any one time had 75 million out and now have about 50 million out.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just kind of been word of mouth,
Okay, pause. Guys, so basically what he's saying is he has $50 million he's currently lending people.
And it's most of it's other people's money, and other investors' money.
Gosh.
But,
you leverage the system. That's awesome though. Okay, so
it's a little money. It's like a bank. It's how any bank that you bank at, other than we don't have deposits on hand.
I love the hard money idea. Have you read Tony Robbins' new financial book?
I haven't read the new one, but the one that he did a couple...
Unshakable.
Yes, Unshakable.
Unshakable. So he has 3 in this series. Money Master the Game, Unshakable, and then the third one is the Holy Grail of Investing. The first 2 are really good for the average investor. The third one, the Holy Grail of Investing, is all about hard money, private equity, and private real estate.
Okay, I'm going to have to read that because I'm already doing 2 out of the 3.
You have to read it. It would be right up your alley. But he talks about those are the 3 game changer, the wealthy, super wealthy do private real estate, private equity, and private money lending. And it's insane because there's not a lot of books that talk about that,
No, it can get kind of a bad rap, a little bit. Because, the name hard money or hard money is it's not like you're a loan shark.
Right.
It's that you're lending on a hard asset.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking a little bit before about like, you know, a loan you did that was unsecured.
Yeah.
That's, dude, if I had 50 million in unsecured loans, I'm going bankrupt tomorrow. Yeah. But I have a collateral. I have a house that if my borrower doesn't pay me back, I have the house.
Okay, let me ask you about this. Because, yeah, I just did a deal with my buddy who basically, owns a business, and I'm giving him money to help fund his business, and he personally guaranteed the loan.
Yep.
So what's wrong with that from Mr. Matt Strong?
Well, I don't want to say that your deal's wrong, but what could be wrong with that setup is, and it could be not like, let's say he's the most upstanding, moral, ethical, and legal guy.
Okay.
But life happens.
Yeah.
Say he dies.
Okay.
Now what? You have a personal guarantee. What's that going to do to you? You're not getting your money back.
I'm not getting my money back if he dies. Yeah.
I mean,
because what could I have in place if
you need, like, in my opinion?
Yeah.
Now, trust me, there's plenty of people that have figured out a model that they can do unsecured.
Okay.
Like credit card companies.
Okay.
Those are unsecured, right?
Yeah.
You know, certain business lending is unsecured. Maybe you have like a UCC lien on inventory or something like that. But if you're unsecured, you're relying on their business model to work out.
Okay.
Or them to, things get tough, you know, they may not be in a spot where they can actually pay you back.
So collateral, either one of his rental properties that he has,
absolutely,
or the business itself.
Yeah. So for me, I've just always understood real estate really well. So it's like and then your priority position, if I'm in first lien position, meaning I'm the first one that's going to get paid back when a transaction happens. Yeah, I got to be worried about it. But, you know, I've had borrowers pass away, go to jail, you know, and get divorced.
And still be fine.
Yeah. They personally guaranteed it. But you know what? My collateral was good. I'm really lending saying, hey, house in Salt Lake where someone's lived for 50 years, you're worth this much. Utah's in a good spot.
Right.
Demographics are solid.
Yeah.
Values maybe go down a little bit, but overall they're going up because more people are coming into the state than leaving.
Yeah.
That property is going to be worth at least what I owe. And if it's not, great. We'll turn it into a rental.
Wow.
And it will come back. But, you know, like.
So do you always do first lien position too?
Every once in a while I'll do a second, but only if there's really good.
Yeah.
So I would not chase a high risk, high return, high reward. I would not chase. I don't care what you could charge someone.
Yeah, because I get 18%, but there's no collateral. Yeah. So
you can give.
This is great education for me. Yeah,
it'd be super safe.
Yeah, that's a way better. See, thank you. I'm glad I'm already learning something.
Now your deal.
Yeah.
You know, like I have another buddy, and I won't tell you his name, but he is as reliable and trustworthy as you can get. And I know he has a relationship with a close friend where he has like a $6 million revolving line that's unsecured.
Wow. That's
potentially risky for both of them.
That's so scary. Yeah.
Now he's got a high enough net worth.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
Anything could happen. Like whenever I even borrow money from like someone really close to me, we still document it and put it as a lien against the property. Because what happens? You know, I like to keep things very, very simple. What happens if I die? Like he at least has the lien. He can take the property back. And
see, this is such good info, Matt. You're an expert. Okay, so for me, if he's down, I could go to him and be like, hey, like let's change the docs to. So where would I even go? Title company to make it?
Yeah. We could talk offline to help you. You know, but a lot of times he's coming to you because one, you're way easier to get the money from than Wells Fargo.
Hard money, or a bank. Okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, someone may argue if you're doing a personal guarantee, like you actually should be charging like 30% for the risk. You know what I mean? Like
because I thought personal guarantee to me sounded like, oh, there's no way I can lose now.
Well, if he craps out for some reason.
Right. If he goes bankrupt or he dies or he gets divorced, then I'm probably screwed.
Yeah, you're probably screwed.
Okay.
Or if his business or his cash flow dies.
Yeah, then I'm screwed.
Then you're screwed.
Money's gone.
What do you have?
Yeah, nothing.
A piece of paper that says, I promise to pay you back.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you could get a collection, you could get a judgment, you could haunt him for the rest of his life.
Granted, too, though, he owns, like, he's in a really good financial position and owns a bunch of real estate. So, like, a lot of shiz would have to go down for him to not pay me, but he could die tomorrow and I'd be
But all those other lenders that have a lien position on his properties, those all get paid back first.
Yeah, but most of the properties bought 3 years ago in Vineyard, and so everything's doubled. So, but that's a great point. That's really good to know.
I just am speaking to like what I know.
Okay, yeah,
There's probably someone else that specializes in unsecured loans.
But you do secured debt, and you've always paid your people
100%.
All of them. Wow.
In fact, I've come out of pocket multiple times
to make sure
sure they're whole, because
Matt, I wish
you build confidence.
Yeah.
And people, you know, they like the predictability. And then, you know, you've got a model that, it can break, but it really can't if everyone's patient.
It can't. And you're doing such a good job, because if you just keep committing and telling people and doing what you say you're going to do, they're going to keep coming back with more money, and they're going to tell their friends, which that's how it's happened. Yeah. You've grown through word of mouth because you meet or exceed expectations on your deals.
But the other side of it, which is the human side, is I really like all the people I work with.
Yeah.
And so it's super cool to get to know them, learn from them.
I love that.
What they're doing, introduce, you know, grow your network, you know, it's like your whole podcast, proximity is power.
Right.
So the closer you are to people and the more of a track record and they're good people, like you can learn so many things, not just like the money, financial part of it, but also like, you know, emotional intelligence stuff, like just actually how to try to be a good person, you know, like health stuff. I've learned so much about like health and wellness from some of these people, you know, and
that's really cool.
You know, your mind and the power of, it's not just all money, but money's important. Like if money wasn't involved in the world, like there is a need for it, and there's like anything, a good use of it, a bad use of it, and it will flow. It'll flow where it goes.
So basically, so you started doing hard money because a buddy asked you for money, and then you started doing those deals, and then fast forward, how many years have you been doing hard money deals?
So my first loan we did was 2011.
11. Okay. So like
13 years.
13 years. And are you putting your own money in some of these deals, or basically raising money for all these hard money deals?
I put a little chunk of my own money in every single deal.
That's smart. Because then they know you have skin in the game.
We're all aligned.
Cool.
Right? And then I do the underwriting. So it's like, I'm not intentionally trying to get us into a deal.
That's bad. Yeah.
See, I have seen, and I've never worked for one, so I don't know if this is true or not, but just my observation of other, like, there's a sweet spot where I don't think I could handle and have the same control if I had 100 million out or 120 million out. I mean, I probably could, because I need to have more systems and processes and teams.
Yeah.
But what I've seen with some of these bigger hedge fund, private lender groups is I think there's at times a conflict of interest internally.
Absolutely, because there's acquisition fees, there's asset management fees that no matter how good the deal is or how well it goes, they still freaking get paid.
And those guys are not thinking about
their investors.
The investors.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't, because, you know, the sales guys are out there wanting to originate a loan.
It's BS.
But they're not necessarily thinking, well, wait, is this value really good?
See, and that's been my experience, Matt. So far, I've done four deals that weren't with just funds or syndications. All four, wouldn't do it again.
Yep.
And I'm like, I want to go more passive into like investing. I need to find somebody that has a good track record that'll actually take care of their money and put their own money into the deals. And look at us now, Matt.
Look at us, but you got to be okay. Like I always tell my guys, this is base hit investing.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah, you're not shooting for 30x or 10x.
No, but you know, if you take that analogy of baseball, if you're always walking and getting on base,
yes,
dude, you're going to score a lot of runs.
A lot of runs. And that's
you
what
may not be Manny Ramirez.
See.
But you're going to be, you know.
Well, investing should be boring. Like, if you ask Warren Buffett or some of the best investors that have crushed it for long periods of time, they didn't take huge bets and lost money. What's Warren Buffett's first rule of investing? Don't lose money.
Yeah, don't lose money.
Don't lose money.
And he's very value-based.
Yeah.
He's not speculative.
Which is what you do, basically. Yeah, because it's very secure.
Of all of these, every once in a while, like, maybe you move too quick. You say yes to one that you should have required more of a down payment. But even then, we don't lose unless we, you know, money's interesting. You know, all the wisdom over the years of like, don't borrow, like or the Dave Ramsey. Now, you can responsibly borrow money.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But money borrowed money can trap you if there's a fuse. Like a lot of these hedge funds or private funds, they have to be way more stringent than I do. I can be a little flexible with my borrowers as long as there's good value still in the deal. I can give them more time to get the deal done.
Gotcha.
But if I have to always stick by what my loan documents say, meaning, no, you're due.
Yeah.
You don't get an extension.
Gotcha.
Dude, I'd probably, like there's an art and a science to it. The science is like the loan docs and the legal part of it. The art is there still value in the deal?
Yeah, and you're trying to keep relationships, and take care of people.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I'd rather do 20, 30 loans with one guy that maybe struggles every once in a while.
Yeah.
Than just be so hard going, nope. Gage, you were late, 20% default fee.
Wow.
We're never doing a loan together.
Yeah.
And I'm always having to recreate and find that next sucker that will borrow money from me.
Matt, what I love about you just from talking to you is you're just a good dude and you do things the right way. Like I can tell you do business the right way, and which is why you've done what you've been able to do.
Well, you're always trying to learn because there's still days where you're like, what did we do on this one? But
you're getting better in every deal. You learn something new in, so you don't make the same mistake. Hopefully the next time, Or
you have that's where it's really good to do harder things than you've done in the past. And there's another Dan Sullivan quote that I love, that your future is greater or bigger than your past.
That's cool.
And you've seen it in your life. What one thing that you were so scared of that you thought was a big challenge, once you overcome it, then you're like, well, I can handle that all day long.
Yeah, selling pest control door to door.
What's the next one?
Right.
And you told the story that you're going to be interviewing Brandon Turner.
Yeah.
It's like, but the reason that you had the huevos to go up and talk to him,
right,
is because you've been kicked to the curb
so many times.
But the other thing that I learned from you just before is but not only that, but you saw that person as someone that's believable, reliable, that you can learn from, and you ate up all their content. You followed everything that they told you without telling you, because you learned it from, and then it was how could they not say yes
to the biggest fan they have?
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you're just a fan. It's dude, I read your 4 books. I've listened to all your podcasts. I bought all these properties.
I refer you to everybody. Yeah. If you want to learn about real estate, go read Brandon Turner's book, the book on rental property investing. It is the best. And I refer him all the time.
Well, and a shout out to that, because I've never met the guy, but Darren Hardy.
Yeah.
He has a Darren Daily every day.
Yeah. He wrote The Compound Effect.
The Compound Effect.
Yeah,
and you talked about that.
That's one of my favorite books.
Dude,
yeah.
I listen to him every morning at 5:30
when
I get ready to jump in the cold plunge and then go to the gym.
Let's go. You're a cold plunge guy too.
Yeah.
This won't be over too
So the
far
only
apart.
thing he asks is spread the word about Darren Daily. So I'm doing my part. Your project,
Darren Daily
has benefited. I have hundreds of pages of notes.
I love that.
Of his
I've never checked out his stuff.
Dude, join it today.
Really, The Compound Effect's my favorite book. One of my favorite books. If you haven't read it, go check it out.
Every morning he has a 3 to 10 minute.
I love that.
Just message.
Every day. That's awesome.
So I have it. So I get it in my email. First thing I do, normally you're told not to look at your phone first thing, but the first thing I do is I find that email, hit play, put in my headpods or my AirPods, and start my day.
That's awesome. I try and cold plunge in sun every day too. That's cool. Yeah, but it was funny because I met Brandon and I was speechless. I was starstruck, and he's so much taller than I thought. He's
oh, really?
Yeah, he's 6'5". I'm 5'9", but yeah, I mean, fortune favors the bold. I'm my wife laughed at me for asking Brandon to be on my podcast when I had just met him, and I'm I would have never done that if I didn't do 8 years on the doors.
Heck yeah.
Rejection's my middle name. I freaking have gotten rejected my entire life, and it's a no if I don't ask.
It's a no if you don't ask.
It's a no if I don't ask, so might as well ask and make sure it's a no, and he said yes, and in fact he wanted, I don't know, we'll see if this happens, but yeah, he said yes, and then he actually asked me to be on his podcast.
That's so cool,
which is
dude.
insane.
I can't wait.
I can't either. I'm fanboying so, I'm freaking out. When I started this podcast a year ago, I made a dream list. I have my regular list and then a dream list, and it's Tony Robbins, Brandon Turner, Ed Milet's up there, and I somehow, some way, the universe opened that door for me. I jumped through it and I sent it, and now I'm finding Maui.
Well, I want by stalking you.
Dude, dude, we're on a rocket right now.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
We're on a rocket.
But it's these little,
But so
like,
are you, Matt.
the other great book, if you haven't read it, and
Yeah.
I'm actually now listening to it in Portuguese,
Yeah.
just to kind of stay up on the Portuguese, but The Alchemist.
Oh, great
Paulo
book.
Coelho.
Yeah, so
But he
good.
talks about like those waypoints or the serendipitous moments
Right.
that come. And one of them for me was later on, about 8 years ago. I think I was in kind of a rut and a funk where it was like every day you wake up, you find houses, you
Yeah.
flip them, you fund some hard money deals. But I just felt like something was missing. And another serendipitous thing, I was with a very good friend. We had done a trip back to Brazil, and we were just talking. We were walking on the streets, and he's like, dude, when we were kind of catching up because we haven't really talked that much. But he's like, when I get home, I'm enrolling at the Masters of Real Estate Development School at USC. And without even thinking about it, I'm like, dude, when I get back, I'm going to do the one at the U. And I mean, I'm like 38, I feel like an old timer, but that was a pivoting point because what it made me realize going through is that I didn't need to change what I was doing. I just needed to have more excitement and have more people around me and learn more and grow more. Cause it was really energizing. Whereas like, oh, these people are awesome. They've got a ton of energy. So it's like, I think I learned like when I was like 38 that I needed to continue to learn.
Proximity's power, baby.
And be around
Yeah.
a higher, not even a higher, but like more successful people. So then I did the MRED. Then I got into like strategic coach. I do Genius Network. I do a couple of other networking things. And that really propelled me because what I started doing was being intentional about working on myself.
Love that.
And personal development and better practices and kind of putting your ego aside. Like, well, I'll just figure it out. It's like, oh, wait, that guy knows what he's doing. How can I learn from him?
Wow.
To get to that
That's so cool.
next level.
And that's the thing. So you're in 4 different groups right now.
Yep.
And okay, so I talked about this on my last podcast, but Jimmy Rex is someone I look up to. He's freaking good at networking. Interviewed.
He's one of the best.
Yeah, Ed Milet, Andy Frisell has been on his podcast, Jim Quick, like I could go on. And I asked him, how do you network with these big time people? He said, pay to be in the room.
Yep. To start anyway.
At least to start. Because like at first, if there's like a top level person, there's nothing this guy could add besides maybe put more money in his bank account, right? So you got to pay to be in the room at first because then they know you're committed and you're hungry, and then they weed out all the people that aren't really interested in taking it to the next level.
Right.
And so that's what I learned, and I've been trying to pay to be in the rooms at these different events and different like, for example, this investor con thing that Brendan Turner came to, the base ticket was $300, but the $2,000 ticket I got included dinner with all the speakers after. You pay for the proximity.
Yep.
And then the next day, 6 hours with all the speakers. And then I talked to Brandon for 3 hours straight.
See, that's great. And sometimes people go, well, yeah, but it's worth it if you're in the right room.
It's worth it if you're in the right room. Yeah.
And you got it, the Joe Polish quote, life gives to the giver. I think that's so true. Not that you need to give away your goods and services, but if you're abundant and add value mindset, dude, it comes back to you full circle because someone that has even that many more resources is going to do the same with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like maybe I'm very cocky, but I felt like I taught Brandon something like from meeting me,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, that's about being curious.
Yeah.
That's where I love hanging out with guys that are younger and older. Some of the people that I get along the most in Genius Network, they're like 80.
Wow.
But then there's some ballers like you that are in their 20s. I'm like, how are you doing this when you're so young?
I got so lucky. I had my dad, I told you this off camera, but basically the pivotal moment in my life was I was 18. I was about to graduate. I was 17. And he took me to lunch after my senior year of football. He's like, okay, football's over. What are your plans? You're about to graduate. Like, are you going to college? Are you going on a mission? I'm like, I don't know yet. He's like, you better figure that out. Like, time's coming. And he's like, Gage, I want you to know something. He said, the thing that's changed my life more than anything else, the thing that's made me most successful is the books I've read and the people I've met.
Yep.
You can commit yourself to being curious and obsessed with learning through books, which is a type of proximity, right? You get in their minds by reading what they've learned over 40 years in whatever field and taking successful people to lunch. I've committed to that, and man, it's been a roller coaster, but I've been doing it for 8 years, completely obsessed with that. And it made me a millionaire by 22. Like, I've helped my older brother be a millionaire, my little brother. I've helped friends make multiple 6 figures doing summer sales. I've helped my guys invest in rental properties. I've invested in rental properties. Like, it's just been so cool, the growth that I've had, but also the impact it's made on those around me.
Yeah, dude, that's it. It's impact.
It's impact.
And as you progress, like, that's really where I want to, you know, and the impact that you can have on others.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool to see like people grow around you. And that's really the goal, is like, how can you benefit the most people? And obviously there's a economic component where you got to make sure it's a viable,
worth your time
business.
Yeah.
But it's so cool when you can, you know, that's like that ecosystem of the, you know, if I make myself feel good about doing the hard money.
Right.
But you know, you're giving a return to your investors.
Right.
They can have peace of mind. You know, a lot of my guys tell me that, like, dude, you are what I live off of.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, which is really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Because then I can go off and river raft or do whatever they're doing.
It's like a guaranteed, like, they're so,
I'm making some money. I'm earning a return on my money that I put in.
Right.
I'm helping borrowers do a dream that they want to be able to do with that. And now someone else could do it.
That's so cool.
Like, and they're also rehabbing houses.
Yeah.
Like, I just went and visited one today up above Foothill by the University of Utah. These people did the most. They took a house, they bought it for 1.17. They put like 600 into it. They're under contract at 2.75.
Wow.
And just the transformation and the joy they're bringing to the buyer that's buying it, and even just me walking through it, like, this is art.
Wow.
Like, but it's cool because it's like this ecosystem of like, my investors making money on it, I'm making money on it, they're making money, all the subs that work on it made money, somebody's super happy to buy it at the end of the day, the neighborhood's better off.
Yeah, you're making a difference. You know, you can see it firsthand.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Dude, we're going to do some deals together.
Let's do it, man.
I'm freaking excited. And I'm going to open the floodgates too. So that's awesome. This has been so fun for me, man. I appreciate, again, you coming on. No, we
go for hours.
I haven't even asked. I've asked one question so far.
I love it.
So, yeah, we should do part 2. But, so right now, are you still doing flips or full-time?
Yeah, I love it. I don't ever think I'll stop doing flips because I've got like a good crew that does them.
All in Utah.
All in Utah. I'll usually have like 3 or 4 or 5 flips going at a time. And then I have...
how do you find them now? Wholesalers?
Word of mouth, usually.
Word of mouth, wow.
Wholesalers, off market.
Wow.
I still find stuff on the MLS.
Really? Cool.
Yeah. And then I don't love development as much, but I have 20 townhomes that I'm building in Mill Creek right now.
Okay. Cool.
That should be pretty sweet.
Are you holding any real estate right now?
Yeah, I have some different commercial, residential.
All in Utah?
I have 2 properties, one in New Mexico and one in Idaho.
Cool.
But otherwise, like, one thing I'd recommend to you is like, dude, those little onesie twosies that you have out of state, find someone that will buy those.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that.
And then consolidate the ones you have here, or at least get a property manager so you don't have to chase them around.
Yeah, I'm hiring my sister to do that.
Good,
actually.
do it.
Yeah,
no, it's not worth the time. Better spent.
Oh yeah,
but you got to learn.
Right, and I don't regret any of the deals I've done. Even the funds. I mean, I do the funds, but it also is a great learning experience.
But you've learned now what to look for and ask next.
Yeah.
And you're young enough, where
time's
you
still
can swing
on my
for
side.
the fences.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, we're going big.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, that's awesome. And then so the people that want to borrow money from you, are those typically business owners or real estate guys? Or?
I'd say 80% of them are new or fairly new people that just got into like, oh, let's flip a house.
Okay.
You know.
Cool. And how do they find you? Just word of mouth?
A lot of times word of mouth. I try to be pretty active in the local real estate clubs, you know, and I have a little social media that I do that we talked about that I kind of have a love-hate thing.
Because you were the president of Solaria, right?
Yeah. So you got to be, you know, going back to the reverse, like not that in a negative way, but you know, like if you want to find borrowers in what I'm doing, I need to go to where borrowers are.
Go get in proximity.
They're learning about real estate.
Right.
They're taking classes. They're at new work meetups. They're at, you know, so that's where I go.
That's cool. Smart.
And then, you know,
you just network.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're only one handshake, one person away from changing your life. Like that's
100%. But you got to put in the time.
Yeah.
It's been, you know, a lot of nights or whatever, a lot of time on the phone, a lot of, you know, yeah, I'll take your call.
Oh,
Let's go to lunch.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, because how you build relationships is time, and you only have limited time, So it's like.
But then when you build those, like I have with my investors, you just have such a confidence. It's not that they blindly say yes to every deal,
but kind of.
But it's a lot easier. You don't have to get that pump going to get the water.
Is the offer for your investors the same pretty much on every deal?
Yeah, just like it is for my borrowers. Like I haven't figured out a way to size up or it's like, dude, I'm 2 points, 12%.
Yeah. Is it how long are the deals typically?
We do them for 6 months, but the usual turnaround's like 8 months. I mean, the longest one I've ever had, in a way, it's embarrassing, but awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks for the borrower. I actually think they maybe still made money, but I had one hard money loan go 4 years.
Wow. Matt.
And it was just a flip.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
4 years on a flip.
Maybe not the best execution, but
yeah. You got it done at the end of the day.
Well, again, it goes back to value.
Right.
My final loan payoff was like $450, and he sold it for $900.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm good. Now, if the value would have been $400 along the way, we would have pulled the ripcord.
Right, real quick.
Yeah. But the value was there.
Yeah, and real estate went crazy. Probably.
And it's, money doesn't sleep, right? The interest was still ticking. So.
Okay, Matt. I mean, dude, I think I have a lot of summer salespeople with a lot of money that listen to the podcast. I think you're going to get some deals from this.
Well, I love it because you see them grow. I've had a couple of other people that were in summer sales, through Sky that came and
cool.
It's just cool. It's just,
your track record's insane. So it's don't trust what people say, trust what they've done. Like verify, trust, but verify. But if you've never lost investors' money and you've returned everything you've said, who wouldn't do a deal with you?
Well, part of it's selfish on my end. Like with you, I'm like, well, dude, I'm going to be working for you one day. So yeah, let's stay tight.
We're going to stay tight.
When in 10 years, I may need a job, bro.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. No, I'm excited. I'm excited because I've really wanted to take more of a passive approach in investing, and I've been looking for good people to put my money with. So,
let's talk about it later.
We are. But yeah, Kay, we're about to wrap up. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Matt, or see more of your content, where can they find you?
So I'll give you my links if you want to post it on the notes, but I have help with my social media, but you could always message me on Instagram, or I'll leave my phone number and email address.
Cool. Heck yeah.
So people can reach out.
Awesome. That's really cool of you to do. Okay. And also, are you on Instagram, social media?
m.b.strong.
M.b as in boy?
Yeah.
.strong. Okay.
Yep.
And you're on YouTube too.
I have a little YouTube channel that we're playing around with.
Yeah, I'm a subscriber.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
I guess last question. On your deathbed, Matt, we'll just go here. We skipped all my questions, but you crushed it today. Like everyone, I'm sure, loved this episode, got a ton of value. But on your deathbed, what do you want to be known for, or what do you hope people will say about Matt Strong?
Oh wow, that's a hard one, and I don't know if you've ever done that exercise of write your own obituary.
Yeah, I have. Jeff Mendez at an event had us do that.
Yeah. It's kind of sobering, but I don't know. There's probably a better answer, but he cared, he added value, and, he was good to be around.
Dude, you've been fun to be around, so you're already living up to
that.
Right on,
yeah. Okay.
And you're adding value to me, and I'm sure everyone, so that's awesome. And then, final question, if you had the world's attention for 2 or 3 minutes, what would you want them to know?
Wow. I mean, that's a lot.
You can take a second to think about it.
I mean, I think a lot of the world's problems would just come from if people could understand each other a little better and maybe not be so selfish and just provide a little grace and acceptance.
The most selfish thing you can do is to be selfish.
Yeah.
I mean the most selfless, I don't know what I'm trying to say right now, but what I'm saying is when you're selfless, great things happen. When you're selfish, that's when the worst things happen.
And not at the expense of harming someone else, but everyone should win. We shouldn't try to be better. You shouldn't be trying to be better or dominant over, play your own game. Yeah. Help other people win.
Have the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot more complicated than that, obviously, but
that's great.
So there's a great, maybe we'll end with this, but there's this like philosopher, Alan Watts.
Okay.
There's a YouTube. I mean, he's done so many things. I haven't even scratched the surface of like all of his stuff, but there's this like 3 or 4 minute YouTube video that life is not a journey, or it's life is a journey, or life is not a journey. But Alan Watts' journey on YouTube. And there's a quote in there that says, you got to sing and dance while the music's being played. And that is such a good reminder of like, I take things way too serious sometimes. I get too down on myself, but it's we're alive. Let's enjoy it. Like even this moment, right? Let's sing and dance while the music's being played.
I love that. Sing and dance while the music's being played.
Because it's going to end.
It's true.
But hopefully when it ends, it's even a bigger party. So
it's a bigger party. and the people that you were on the journey with loved you, and you became someone really cool at the end of the journey. So
that's the plan, man.
I love it. Matt, you're a freaking beast. Like you've crushed it in life. Like I look up to you in a lot of ways. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and if there's anything I can do for you, like let me know. But
you got it.
Thanks again.
Keep on going.
If you guys got value from this episode, share with a friend if you think they'd benefit. But until next time, peace.